webinar with me, I try to reward everybody that attends live webinars. And near the end, once we get the full training out, is usually I'll shut the webinar off, or shut the recording off, and we'll stop recording. And then you'll get maybe some insider secrets you wouldn't get publicly. And I've talked to Brad about this, and you know, sometimes they're not secrets that we don't mind getting out, but you know, we kind of want to reward you for staying on the call. And we're going to have fun tonight. We're going to go through RSS Masher, not a complete detail, but I want to show you how I use it. And I use the filters, I use the money hooks, and I've got some really neat stuff coming down the pipeline that I'm testing out with RSS Masher. And using WordPress and IFTTT networks, there's going to be some ways to make money kind of on autopilot. So I'm just as excited as y'all are to have Bradley on the call with Marco to show me how to do this right. So let's get started here, guys. I want to make sure the audio is good. Give me a 1 if you got good audio. Okay, got a lot of 1s coming in. Perfect. And we got a pretty full house tonight. People just keep coming in. We try to always start on top of the hour, and we're going to try to finish at the bottom of the hour. So we're going to do about 1 hour of training, and we're going to, if you have questions, if you can save the questions near the end, we'll try to get them all answered. If it's just something you really have to have that's related to topic, I've got Marco standing by to answer questions and Christine standing by. So let's get started here, guys. I'm going to hop over to a screen here. And I'm going to show you RSS Masher. If you haven't already logged in, and by the way, if you have not got your login emails, please send me a ticket. I've been standing by for the last 2 days fixing things. Send it to support@vidpenguin.com if you don't have your login information. There were some issues with JVZoo over the weekend, and they went down for like almost 6 hours total in a matter of 3 days. So they took money in, but they didn't send stuff out on the webhooks and the integration feeds. So we've been playing catch up, and I've been doing a lot of this manually, and that's no problem. But I want to make sure everybody gets logged in. And so anyway, here we go. Once you log into RSS Masher, this is your dashboard. And these are your feeds. This is when you saved your feed last. And this is what the feed looks like. So if you ever want to see a feed, you just click on it. Now I'm in Firefox, so you can see these feeds pretty good. And I like feeds that have a lot of pictures, a lot of text. And if you've been on any of my training, I want these are called summary posts. And these summary posts, I want them to have a lot of content in them. That way I can do things with them like build WordPress sites or build social media content with them. So this is just one of the RSS feeds I made. And if you want to export it to XML format that you can directly import to WordPress, you just simply click there and it puts it into an XML file, and then you can go into WordPress and do a tools import RSS feed, and you can bring it in straight like that, or there's plugins that you can bring in your feeds through the RSS channel. And there's a brand new video training inside of the training portal that shows exactly how to build a WordPress site from scratch. Okay, so this is the overall. Now you can turn on your RSS feeds, or you can turn them off. And then we set up this ping. It's going to be a little bit more powerful in the future, but right now you simply just ping it. And I have 2 indexers out there, backlinks indexer and link processor, that we're sending this one link to. And what happens is when it goes there, it's going to go into backlinks indexer, and then they'll crawl the feed. So you're going to get some link juice from the bots crawling it, but primarily it gets this feed out there. And that's what you want, is just to to let the world know is you have a new RSS feed. Now, in the future, what we're working on, I should have Rasmus on call also. He's our programmer, and he's from Sweden, and he does an excellent job of tech support and programming. But what we're building is in fact, I think it's called RSSSuperFeeds.com. We're building a huge WordPress site that we're going to take your feeds and my feeds and everybody's RSS feeds that we create in the dashboard here, and we're going to make blog posts out of every single one of them. So you're going to get the advantage is we're going to be building some backlinks for you directly inside of a WordPress site. And then we're going to take our WordPress and push it into IFTTT, push it into SendWire and OnlyWire and some of these other content syndication sources. So when you hit ping, that's going to give us permission to give you more power, more link juice with your feeds. Now, if you're holding off and thinking that's all you need to do is just create a feed, you need to syndicate it. You need to put it somewhere. And I like putting it on WordPress, and you can certainly use your feed to go into IFTTT. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But let's go in and diagnose what we're looking at here. Now, what I'm going to do, just to honor Star Wars, I haven't got to see the new one yet, is I'm going to create a mash. So you always start right here, and you're going to work your way across, going all the way across, and then you actually want to save it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in Star Wars. Okay, so the masher went out and it found all these. I think we got 10 or 15 of them. So what I'm going to do is to add something in there, like here's a YouTube channel. You can actually look at it. Now this doesn't do anything for me because it doesn't have enough content. So I'm going to look at a few more here. Here's StarWars.com feed. And this is okay, it's just one sentence, so you can't really make a lot of content, but if you're sending it to a Twitter feed, this is perfect. If you're sending it to a blogger or a WordPress.com or anything that you need content and pictures, you may not want to use that one. And these are podcasts. This is probably merchandise, right? No, that's a feed burner. So that's probably not one you want to use. That's probably more for the gamers. Let's see, Reddit usually has something in there. Okay, this is a good one here. This is Reddit, and this has some content. This is stuff you can do things with. So there's a lot of Rogue One conversation going on here. And also when you bring up these feeds, this gives you an idea of what type of money hooks to put on there. Everybody's talking about Rogue One. Well, you need to find an affiliate product that has Rogue One products, which I use a lot of Amazon links as my money hooks. So that one was, let's see, that was Reddit. So I'm going to add that. Now to add it, you just simply click the button there. Here's some more. We'll check out these other two. This is not great. Let's look at this one. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're getting pictures, and it doesn't look like it has anything to do with Star Wars. Okay, so we got one there. Now you can come in here and I'm going to type in movie trailers. And these are behind the scene clips and movie trailers. And sometimes you can just use filtering to get the right one in there. Movie clips. Okay. Yahoo movies. That's not a very good one either. Let's do one more. Okay, this is what I wanted. This is a feed burner. So I'm going to come over here And it looks like, make sure it's the movie box set. So I'm just going to add that one. Now, as you work your way across, these are internal. These are all the feeds I've already made. So if you have one of your favorites that you'd like to add in there, I'm going to add in my best TMZ celebrity feeds. Now, it may not have anything to do with Star Wars, and that's okay because we're going to use the filter. Now, external. What I did was I did a little bit of research earlier today just to get some good feeds. And let me show you some of the ones that I've found. Okay, here's the force.net. It doesn't have a lot of content. This one I really liked. This was a feed. It's a blog post feed, but it has a lot of content, a lot of images. So I'm going to come over here to Masher, and I'm going to paste that feed that I found in there. So you don't have to wait around. You don't necessarily have to find it in search. You can find it yourself, and there's tools out there to find feeds like this. And let's take one more. That looks like a good one with images and everything, so I'm going to grab that one, come back to Masher, and paste that one in there. But hit enter. Okay, now here's the neat thing is on YouTube, used to you would have to figure out what the feed is for the channel or the playlist, and you simply just type a channel in there. So I'm going to come over here to YouTube, and I'm going to type in Star Wars. And so what I'm looking for is the channel like this. Oh, this is exactly what I want. The official Star Wars channel. So the way you grab your, if I start this video here, I'm going to grab the channel. Right there. Oops, it hopped back over on the playlist there. Okay, so I grabbed that channel. That's what I want, is the channel right there. And now I'm going to come back over here, and we're going to make it into an RSS feed. Okay, so now let's see what we have. And I'm just going to put in here Star Wars Rogue One. And you need a title and you need a description. And then I'm just going to hit save. So now it's all saved. It's in my dashboard. And I'm going to hit preview. Now what I have here is these are actually summary posts inside of my feed. So this is what it's going to look like. Now there's some stuff in here that has nothing to do with Star Wars. Like this is probably from TMZ, yep. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is come back up here to my settings, and this is the power of RSS Feed, of RSS Masher. You can do a global filter, and I really only want Rogue. Instead of typing Rogue, I could type in Rogue One. Let's just see what Rogue gets me. I don't want to use it in the title. I want to use it in the description on this one because I want to do a deeper search with it. Now, I'll hit preview again. Okay, now we're starting to see stuff with Rogue One in there. And you got some full post in here. So there's all this could actually go straight into a Facebook feed, a Tumblr feed, anything on IFTTT, and you're set up and ready to go right now with an RSS feed. So what I'm going to do is just save it. And I'll go back to Dashboard. So I've created my Rogue One super feed. And here's what it looks like. Now, if I'm taking this into a WordPress site, there's some of these that when I bring them in through the XML import, they all come in as published, but it's really easy just to tag them and then put them into draft mode. So there's a few of these that are not very thick or a lot of content, and those are the ones I would just put in draft, or I would delete them. Like these are great posts, anything with list in there. So everything in here has something to do with Rogue One. And that's how easy it is to create your super feed. From a whole bunch of different sources, we just mashed them together and we put a filter on them. Okay, so that's the first way to do it. Now, here's what I'm going to show you how to make money with this. I'm going to go back into Edit the Mash. We have our RSS Super Feed. We have a title, we have a description for it. We've got a filter here. These are the money hooks. And this is a global hook right here. So it goes before the description, after the description. Okay, now this is where I would put my hyperlink by my money link right here. So just for granted, I'm just going to put in here just Amazon. I don't have my affiliate code brought up, but I would find a really popular toy and make my money hook with it. And let's go in and put something else down here. Sponsored. Okay, so you can actually have multiple hyperlinks in the same feed. So I would hyperlink that, and let's go back over to okay, so this is going to go above and below each post. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, see how it kind of looks like it's part of the post right here? It just kind of just blends straight in here. These are the money hooks. So if they're viewing this link right here, check out the best Rogue One toy, and that would take them to your money link. Also, that would take them to your money link. You can put pictures in here. You can do a lot of different things, and we're eventually going to get to a full HTML set that you can do in here, which you can backlink to some other really cool stuff that Bradley's going to talk about. So this is a neat little way to put your money hooks in there. Now, I did it on a global basis, meaning it goes on every single feed post. But if I wanted to tailor it, so let's say I'm going to go back in here to my settings, and let me find the YouTube link. I think I had a YouTube in here. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so just on this YouTube feed is check out this cool video. How would you like to get links or views from your RSS feed? And then you would just put your link in here, and you would put your own YouTube link in here. Now, I don't have a specific video. Let's see if I'll just pull this one just as an example. And so I'm going to come up here. I'm going to grab that. And then I'm going to come back over here, paste it right there. So Now, on top of all the YouTube feed summary posts, we're going to have this one little link that can link it back into your own video. So let's go back up to preview. And I'm going to try to find, you can see my global hooks are here, so I'm going to go in and find the YouTube feed in here. I'll drop it down. There's a lot of Reddit posts in here. There we go. Here's the YouTube right here. This is the video. This is the title of the video. And this is the description in there. But look at this. Check out this cool video right above the YouTube video in the feed stream. So that's how you can tailor individual feeds with your own individual feed that is specifically made for this. And if you'll notice, we have both. In fact, I've misspelled row one. We have the global hooks, and then we have the individual feed hooks that go with this YouTube. So I'm going to go back up here to the very top, and then I'm going to hit save. And I'll hit dashboard, and let's just look at it one more time here. So this is your actual feed. This is what you just created. This is what we call our super feed. In that you have your money hooks top and bottom. We filtered it, so all we're looking at is row one. And this can go in and create a lot of content for you. Bradley, what can you do with a super feed like this?
What can't I do with it? There's a lot of really cool things that can be done with this that I think is so powerful for RSS Masher is, I mean, guys, think about it from the SEO standpoint. I mean, there's two major aspects or 2 points that I want to kind of discuss here, okay, or expand upon. And that's number one, SEO. Number two is traffic, right? Number one for SEO, for a lot of you that you know, are looking at it from particularly from that standpoint, guys, with the hooks, we're able to add our own links in there to anything we want, right? So we can build links to pages on our sites, or to other blog posts, or to YouTube videos, like what he just showed, dropping a link in the hook to a YouTube video. And think about this, guys. You're creating a feed with most likely a high authority content feed, right? So a feed that you've borrowed from some high authority site, probably that has a lot of traffic, also probably has a lot of social engagement, and you're borrowing that feed and republishing that stuff out on, you know, Web2 blogs or whatever. And so now you've got these RSS feeds with relevant content, and now you've got your links sprinkled throughout, whether it's a YouTube video to pages on your websites, whatever. But now you're basically siphoning authority from those feeds and from that content, the topically relevant content, right? That by using the filters, you've set it up, and it should be extremely relevant content, right? And so there's if you guys want to look up co-citation. Co-citation is something that you're able to accomplish with this and associate that high authority content. Some of it will rub off, almost like your website will be guilty by association, right? Birds of a feather flock together. So if your links are sprinkled in throughout all this other high authority relevant content, and some of that authority is going to rub off. So that's number one, being able to siphon authority. But number two, the traffic standpoint. Guys, remember, SEO isn't everything. Why do we want good SEO? Because of the traffic that it provides, right? And so with us being able to put our web links in, our money hooks into this, we can also drive traffic to offers, website, you know, pages on our website, opt-in forms. We can send them direct to sales pages if we want. We can also send relevant traffic to YouTube videos. And guys, traffic signals is absolutely huge for SEO, right? Traffic and engagement signals are huge. So if you can send relevant traffic from you know, a feed that's populating some blog out there on the web, and it collects some visitors, they click on the links because it's relevant, and now it takes them to one of your landing pages or something that now they're engaging with on your site because it's relevant content. That's a huge signal for you. You get referral traffic, you get time on site, engagement, all of that. And that goes for YouTube videos as well. So my point is with the hooks and having the ability to set up the filters, guys, you can super target these feeds to be really relevant with high authority content, and then piggyback off of that authority for SEO and the traffic. Very, very powerful stuff.
Well, and the thing too is, you see how easy it was to build? My hardest thing was just finding the right feed to go in there. I just wanted feeds that had content, something that we can talk about. And inside of the training is we have the 20 best RSS feeds to use. So especially if you're doing celebrity stealing, as I would call it, I love doing that. I go to TMZ, Huffington Post, Fox News, ESPN, and I steal a lot of authority that way. And then I just drop my hook on top, drop it on bottom, and then drop it into either WordPress site, or I go out to my blogs and I syndicate the content. And like Bradley was saying, is whenever Facebook or Tumblr is crawled, they pick up these links as well as this link to a popular website. So you are getting some spider crawls or bots crawling through there also. But more importantly, if you write this correctly and somebody is inside of a TMZ or an ESPN post, or they're looking at something on your Facebook even, and they see this link here, they're likely to click on it. Now, one of the things I found today, and I need to do a little bit more research, is there's an affiliate network out there that you can actually send them to other blogs that are like related, like survival guides or cooking or cake decorating. And this affiliate network, and I'll give you more details probably after the first of the year, because I really want to test it first. But it's a series of reviews and blogs, and once you sign up for it, they do all the work for you. You don't even have to have a website now. All you have to do is create your feed, put it into some social media sites, use IFTTT to set it up, or SendWire, whatever you're using for content syndication, and let it run. And you may not make a lot of money right up front, but this all builds up, especially if you don't have to build out the back end. If you're using Amazon or other affiliate networks, just send them the links. It's the easiest way that I know of to start making a recurring revenue stream from it. And we set it up so that it's real easy to use. You just basically follow the path set up, search, internal, external YouTube settings, hit your filters, put your hooks in there, and save it. And you have to put a little bit of brain power in there occasionally. You might have to go outside on Google and actually search for a feed. So you could just type in Star Wars RSS feeds. So if we can't give you the right feed, you certainly can type that in. And see all these RSS feeds? That's how I found the RSS feeds. So it really is pretty easy to use. We've set it up to be as simple as possible to run. And occasionally you'll see a feed that won't fit in here. That's okay. Just go grab another one, because you don't want to be so specific that it slows you down. You want to go through this as fast as you can, create your RSS feed, and get your money hooks in and get it syndicated. Because next week you may have a whole new set of RSS feeds. So anyway, are there any specific questions about how I ran through this that maybe I can answer right now before we turn the screen over to Bradley?
Well, I don't need the screen, Damon, much. I mean, I can talk about what we've got, and I was just going to run through the Tier 2 recipes anyways. I mean, if you want, I can show the screen.
Yeah.
But there is a few questions. So.
There's something about FeedBurner. I would always create a FeedBurner feed. I think Bradley answered it too. I don't know if it siphons authority, but I mean, you are getting authority from Google with the celebrities you put in there, and you're actually pulling in high page rank sites. But yeah, I make two feeds. I make a FeedBurner, and then I do this one. What affiliate sites are you talking about? The one that I'm investigating, James. Let me investigate it first before I give you a name, because I don't want you going out spending money if it's not going to work. Can money hooks be cloak linked? Absolutely. They're just the money hooks are just standard links going out. Yeah, we have this being recorded right now. So I think
I saw a question, if I can step in.
Yeah.
Someone is asking, can you paste iframe sets into webhooks?
You can't as of right now. We are working on upgrading our HTML reader. The problem is it's not necessarily the HTML that we put in there. It's the feed readers strip it out sometimes. And they'll strip it down to just your basic HTML, the A tags, which is just the links. And they'll leave those in, but they'll strip everything else out.
Yeah. Yeah, I played with that actually. I tested embedding some maps and also some YouTube videos and stuff, and I wasn't able to get that to work. But I did recognize it. I see another question up here that the webhooks do accept spin tags. That's great. I didn't even play with that.
Yeah, sometimes I forget some things it does. Ron asked a question about RSS Ground. Ron, we have some training on RSS Ground. I use RSS Ground. And I like RSS Ground for putting in, they will do a feed stream of Amazon products that you specifically niche it down to Star Wars, Rogue One, animated figurines. And they'll give you a whole stream of Amazon. The only problem with Amazon is there's so many people adding products. It's like Craigslist. It's a solid ticker, and you could easily. I busted Zapier down. I was using Zapier to fire off these RSS feeds, and they shut down on me because it was like 200 feeds within like 10 minutes, and it was because Amazon was sending so much stuff out on their product feeds that Zapier couldn't keep up. Yeah, Travis, this is kind of beyond the demo of RSS Ground using RSS Masher, but basically all you're looking for is an RSS feed. That's what RSS Ground makes. They make RSS feeds. So you would just basically add whatever feed you want, go to external, and in the training we show you how to do this, but you would just go to external, and you can type in your RSS Ground feeds right here, and then just hit add whenever the green arrow comes up. I hope that helps, but be sure to look at your ground feeds if they're product feeds from Amazon or eBay or anything like that, because they can overwhelm your feeds. And really what we're trying to do is we're trying to create relevant content that people want to share, like, follow, and build up your own social authority. So sometimes product feeds are not the best things to add in here. And the beauty about this is you can play with this all day long. If you don't like a feed in there, you would just simply go back here to settings, and let's say that we don't like this one here. Just hit remove feed, and it's completely gone. That's how easy it is to use. Okay. Bradley, I'm going to turn the screen over to you now.
Okay.
Are you ready?
All right, so all I'm going to do then is just show, let's see if I can select the right one. Excuse me, guys, give me a second. I'm not much of a GoToWebinar user, so you have to.
This is that home field advantage stuff, huh?
All right, are you guys seeing my screen now?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let me see if I probably need to zoom in on this too, don't I? Make it easier for you guys. And I'm assuming you're not seeing all the chat boxes and stuff. That's only on my end, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so guys, I wanted to share this with you first. Let me grab the link, and I will drop this. Let's see if I have the right one. Here we go. Tier 2 recipes. Guys, I'm going to drop this in chat. It's a goo.gl short link. Go ahead and check these out. So I'm going to say send to all. You guys should see that now, I think. Did it come through? Sorry, guys. Again, I'm not much of a GoToWebinar user. If you didn't get the URL, let me know, and I'll try to post it in again. But now what I wanted to talk about here, guys, was the Tier 2 recipes, or applets, they're called now in IFTTT. The idea here is anybody that has been using IFTTT for syndication, you know, we have IFTTT SEO Academy, where it's, you know, I kind of pioneered this from about a year and a half or 2 years ago now, with using syndication networks and using tiered syndication networks, which is really, really powerful for video SEO, and it's also really powerful for blogging, for blog syndication. However, there's been footprint issues with doing two-tier or multiple-tier networks when it comes to blog syndication, guys. For YouTube, there's no footprint issues, so you could get crazy with, you know, building out multiple tiers. You can stack as many multi-tier networks on a channel as you would like. But for blog syndication, you want to kind of protect your money sites from doing anything that Google would determine or deem, you know, against their terms of service, or trying to manipulate search results, which is what SEO is, right, guys? It's manipulating search results. So it's what we do. But we're always trying to like toe that line between being like just blatantly egregious about it and you know, being sly. Well, having multiple tier networks for blog syndication can create footprint issues. Here's why. When you create an IFTTT syndication network, what I call a branded network for a website, which is normal, okay, so you go out and build all these Web 2.0 social media bookmarking properties and all that share the same theme, right? They got the same branding across all properties. So whenever you publish content to your blog, you're going to send, it's going to, you know, through IFTTT, through your RSS feed, it's going to auto syndicate to all of those properties. Well, that's perfectly normal. You're not trying to hide a footprint. You're claiming a footprint. You're announcing your footprint to the world, and you're saying, hey, this is my content, and this is my content on all of these other properties on the web, because they're all extensions of your brand. So there's no footprint issues there with Google, okay? Where footprint issues come in is when you start adding second-tier networks, right, that are fed by the properties, the properties in your first-tier network. So in other words, you post to your blog auto-posts via IFTTT to, let's say, Blogger. Then Blogger now auto-posts to a second-tier network, okay, through another IFTTT account. So you get second-tier backlinks. And you could go out further if you'd like. But the problem comes up when your second-tier networks now, typically on a two-tier network, we would use Blogger, Tumblr, and WordPress.com as the triggers, right? So we would end up having 3 two-tier networks around a single branded tier 1 network. And guys, I'm not trying to get too meta here on you guys. I'm just trying to explain the process here and why there has been footprint issues until RSS Masher. So for the tier 2 networks, guys, typically if you're posting content and it syndicates out to your first tier branded 1 network, first tier branded network, perfectly fine. That's normal. It's logical. People publish content and then share it across social media and bookmark it all day long. There's no issues there. The issue comes in when Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress.com, now they push out the post again to another network. Typically, those are going to be persona-based networks. In other words, networks that are built based around a persona or a profile as opposed to a brand. Okay, so it's a bit more generic. It can be a bit broader. But now all the content on those second-tier blogs are going to be the same content that's on your first-tier ring, your branded ring, as well as your money site. So it's clearly footprint issues. You're clearly doing that to manipulate search results. And so the workaround has been, since we released IFTTT SEO Academy, is I've been saying this and preaching this since day one, which is don't recommend using second-tier networks for blog syndication because it can cause problems. However, if you do want to use second-tier networks, then what we have been suggesting is going out and finding related content feeds from high authority sources, preferably high authority sources, that publish on a fairly regular basis, so there's fresh content, and then creating second tier applets, or recipes as they used to be called, in IFTTT for each one of those additional feeds. And I recommended a minimum of 3 additional content feeds per second tier network. So you would have your original blog RSS feed, and then you would have 3 additional content feeds. So you'd end up having 4 content sources on any second tier network, guys. And the reason we do that is, number one, is so that all the content on the second tier networks isn't just pointing back links to one location, because that's clearly a footprint issue. And anybody that would go view that blog would understand immediately what that was set up for, right? But number two, having related content feeds feeding those second tier networks will also populate those networks and those properties within the networks with relevant content on a regular basis without you having to be the one producing all the content, right? So now you're theming your networks with other people's content that is relevant, topically relevant, so that you're constantly building the authority of those blogs, and every now and then when you post a piece of content or publish a piece of content to your blog, it gets pushed out to that network. So the same thing that we're able to do with RSS Masher, kind of get that co-citation, guilty by association, because you're burying your content among other relevant content sources, if that makes sense. Okay, but the problem has been that that is a cumbersome task to go out and select all these multiple feeds and go in and set up a second set of applets or recipes for each content feed. So let's say you have 3 additional content feeds for your second tier network, for one of your second tier networks. Now you've got to set up a total of 4 sets of applets or recipes, right? One for your original content feed, and then a whole other set of applets for each additional content feed. It's a lot of work, and also if at any time any one of those feeds break down, now you're opening yourself back up to footprint issues. Okay, so it ends up being a cumbersome process of management and monitoring to make sure that everything works. So I've been encouraging for almost 2 years now to just avoid using second tier networks for blog syndication unless you really wanted to. Well, enter RSS Masher. When Damon approached me about this and he gave me beta access to it and I got to play with it, I was like, wow, this changes my my recommendation about second tier blog networks, because now we can, within the RSS Masher Dashboard, we can splice all these feeds together, and we can use the super feed that's created by RSS Masher now to populate our second tier blogs with money hooks and web hooks, or money hooks I should call them, so that we can drive traffic, we can build additional links to where we want to build, and it's all done in a much more efficient manner via RSS Masher than trying to do all that manually step by step throughout that process, right? So it makes it a hell of a lot easier for us to go in and set up these second tier blog networks to basically power up our first tier branded networks by using other people's content, and the activity and the frequency of publishing from other people's content. All of that is going to help theme the networks, keep them fresh and current, keep the bots coming, the spiders coming and crawling the new content all the time, and your links are going to be sprinkled throughout. So it minimizes footprint issues, and it also helps to power up those second tier networks with relevant high authority content, the activity, the frequency of publishing, which is important, all of that, guys. So hugely beneficial. And because of that, like I said, that's one of the things that we're able to now say to people that ask us about second-tier blog syndication networks or two-tier blog syndication networks. We can actually say, yeah, we encourage that now, provided you're using Damon Nelson's RSS Masher. And so that's what, if you guys, I shared this Google Doc here. I know Damon also has it inside the training portal. But these are just RSS Masher recipes for Tier 2 blog syndication. So guys, where you use these would be when you set up a second tier IFTTT network. So you go out, you create, let's say, a John Doe persona or Jane Smith persona or whatever, or it could be, a pseudo brand, and then you create all the IFTTT network properties and an IFTTT account, and then you feed the IFTTT account. You use the RSS Masher trigger as the trigger. Does that make sense? So you would end up having 2 sets of recipes per second tier IFTTT account. Your first set of recipes would be based around the tier 1 trigger, which would be in this case like I mentioned, Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress.com. And then you would have a second set of recipes per second tier IFTTT account using the RSS Masher feed. Okay, so you end up only needing 2 RSS triggers per second tier account, which is a hell of a lot easier than 3, 4, or 5, which is what we had been recommending. Okay, and once you set that up, then all of these recipes here, or applets as they're called now, will run on autopilot every time a new piece of content is detected, a new item is detected in the RSS feed. All right, and unfortunately, guys, IFTTT does not allow you to publish recipes anymore unless you have a paid account. So unfortunately, I couldn't create and share the recipe URLs or applet URLs. You have to do it manually now. So unfortunately, this is the steps that you have to go through to do it. But this is like brain dead simple, guys. If you can read, you can create these applets. And by the way, if you're going to be creating second tier networks, it might be worth hiring a virtual assistant to go in and set these up for you, because you could train them, share this doc with them, show them how to do this, and let them set this up for you, because it would take them like maybe a half an hour to an hour to set up these applets for you and your second tier networks, and it would save you from having to do it. And it's just repetitive work. Okay.
Well, while you're going over applets or recipes, whichever you want to call them, I'm used to calling them recipes. Someone's asking if you can do RSS to a Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. Somebody wants to know.
They want to know if you can trigger RSS, IFTTT with RSS to a Facebook page.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. The only reason why we don't have that in here, guys, is because, okay, number one, typically when we're creating like second tier networks, we are usually creating personas. That's why I say they're persona-based networks, right? Because they're ancillary networks. They're networks that are, their sole purpose is to power up or juice the tier 1 branded networks, which is the extension of your brand, right? So when we create persona-based networks, we leave Facebook out because we don't create fake persona profiles. It's a pain in the ass unless you're using Browsio. Browsio is the only tool that I know of that makes it okay to set up fake like Facebook profiles and stuff like that. Otherwise, if you're using it from your own desktop, even if you're using proxies, dealing with Facebook is a real pain, because you'll get IP locked all the time, and they'll ask you to verify your identity for, it's just a real pain. So we just avoid that, guys. If it's not efficient, we don't do it. Okay? So we avoid using Facebook stuff on second tier things. Now, for branded networks, tier 1, absolutely, you should be creating a Facebook page, not a profile. You should already have a profile. Everybody and their mother has a profile, right, on Facebook. But you should create a page and connect for branded networks via IFTTT. Your post to be syndicated to your Facebook page, no doubt. But for tier 2 stuff, guys, I recommend just avoiding it, because it's unless you're using Browsio, in which case you could create as many fake profiles as you want. Okay. Anything else, Marco?
I'm going back and forth. I'll let you know if there's anything else. It was just related, so I thought it would be good to answer it right now.
Yeah. Somebody asked, I do see in the chats now, so IFTTT is not free anymore. Yeah, it is free, guys. It's just if you want to be able to share recipes or publish recipes and then share them, and I keep calling them recipes because old habits die hard, but they're called applets now. Then you have to have a paid account. But it is still free at the moment anyways. Even if IFTTT goes paid at some point, guys, it's freaking powerful. Just pay for it. If it's making you money and it's working, pay for it. That's all. But for right now, it is still free. Okay?
I just saw one that is related to this, and let me see if I can pull it back. They wanted to know if there's a limit to the amount of content sent to tier 2 properties daily based on an RSS Masher feed.
Great question. I would throttle down feeds. If you pick up a feed, if one of the feeds that you use to splice into to mash into your feed, your super feed, produces a ton of content, like, sometimes you guys will find feeds that just like it's just crazy. They'll publish 20 posts per hour or something like that, and like Huffington Post, for example. Well, there's filters in RSS Masher, so that's how you can throttle it down, by using either the title filters, where you add a keyword for the title, or in the description. And I played with that, and I found better you get, I think, better results with using a keyword in the description than in the title. The title, it can be too restrictive. I guess it depends on what niche you're in, but the niches that I was playing in, I found it was better in the description to use the keyword filter in the description area of RSS Masher, and I was able to get a decent frequency of publishing out of some of the more aggressive feeds, if that makes sense, just by using the filters. Now, to answer the other part of that question, as you know, guys, you don't want to have any super active feeds continuously publishing content to your Web 2 sites, or they will end up getting terminated. So you do want to throttle some of them down to where it's not like, you know, excessive posting. Otherwise, you could end up losing some of your Web 2 sites. Somebody else going to jump in on that? I heard somebody say something.
I thought Damon was going to jump in.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate exactly what you said about filtering. I'd say half the questions we get in support are about, I put a filter in the title and now I don't see any feeds at all. You can really throttle something back on the title. So use your description. Bradley's right, and I do the same thing, is I'll drop the filter in the description. We also have negative filters. So if there's anything, you know, just as a political example, if you don't want anything about Trump, you would put -Trump. And, you know, it would take out a whole bunch of feeds that had anything to do with Trump. But, you know, use your feed description. Also, you don't have to do a global. You can do individual feeds specific to those, to the type of feed that you're bringing in. And I'll give you a for instance, is I do fantasy football. And I've done some college, but mostly it's NFL. Well, if I do an ESPN feed, they have it about baseball, football, all the different sports out there. So I want to specifically filter. So I will filter just the ESPN feed for NFL, and I'll put it in the description. Whereas the next feed that I'm going to do on my fantasy super feed is Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report is all football, and typically it's all college football. But what I'll do is I will specifically on Bleacher Report is I'll put in fantasy football, NFL. So I'll only get the posts that have anything to do with fantasy football or NFL. So I'm really tailoring my filtering to the specific feed for a WordPress site. So I don't have to go into the WordPress site and do much work. I'm like Bradley, is the least amount of work, the better. And
That's right.
I'll automate something like that. But I use the filtering, use the description fields, and I did a quick demo to do Rogue One to show you on the Star Wars. Now, the second thing that I wanted to bring up is Bradley brought up a great point on the Tier 2. He's only really pulling in 2 RSS feeds per persona. If one of them is the RSS Masher Super Feed, and let's go back to the Star Wars analogy, is if that feed, if you see that it's not sending anything, you can go back and edit the feed in RSS Masher and add more feeds to it, and it will pump up the volume. But you don't have to go back to your IFTTT applet and change anything because the feed's still the same. It's just it has different things inside of it now.
That's what I was saying, Damon, about the efficiency is part of the reason why I've discouraged using Tier 2 networks for blog syndication for the last 2 years is because of the amount of additional work that it takes to set all that up and also to monitor it and maintain it. And the fact that you have RSS Masher as a single dashboard that you can log into and do all of that mashing, all that good stuff, then again, like you just mentioned, you only need to set up one set of triggers, applets inside of your second tier IFTTT accounts, and any changes to the feeds are all going to be done inside of RSS Masher, guys. So it like eliminates so much additional work that up until this point we had to do manually.
Yep.
There was a couple other questions. Can filters be applied as Boolean? I don't think so. Damon, those are they're simple filters, right? So they
Yeah,
don't like have advanced Boolean searches and all that.
yeah, you can have multiple, and I want to say they're or, not and, because if you did Rogue as one of your description and you did Darth Vader as another, I think it's going to pull either one of those. So that would be an or on your Boolean. But I don't think we have it set up to do and ors. But we do have negative and positive filters. And again, guys, we've made it so easy. Just play around with it. You know, it would take you less time to play with different words in your filter than it would be to actually write an email to support and ask me. Plus, I get long-winded too, so it take you time to read all my answers. Okay.
Somebody said, how can we learn to spin keywords in the money hooks? I'm assuming it just takes standard spin tags, correct?
Yeah.
So you could Google how do you what is spin tax, and that'll show you what spin tax is. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. What sequence? Robert says, what sequence of using FeedBurner would you recommend? 5 feeds in the RSS Masher, RSS Masher in the FeedBurner, and FeedBurner in the IFTTT. It doesn't matter, Robert, as far as what you're using to trigger IFTTT for syndication. I mean, like the RSS Masher feed on its own is fine. If you run it through FeedBurner, you could also use, I'm assuming you could also use FeedBurner as the trigger, but it's not going to give it any benefit, in my opinion. The benefit for FeedBurner, and of course, I'd love to hear Damon's opinion on this as well, but from what I know of FeedBurner, is that you are gaining some authority from just it being in the Google domain, essentially. And number 2, a lot of people will pick up feeds from FeedBurner and resyndicate, which means you end up with more backlinks, and you also end up with more traffic potential, because a lot of people will subscribe to FeedBurner feeds.
Yeah, that's exactly, and people actually, you know, those 2 reasons, and some people actually will do trend analysis and keyword search using FeedBurner. And the other thing with FeedBurner, I believe it's the only one that can be read by Chrome. If you type in any other RSS feed and put it in Chrome, it spits it out as XML. And I want to say that FeedBurner actually can be viewed in Chrome as an RSS feed.
Yes, as an HTML feed, you mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. I have a great question from Greg. That's something else we forgot to mention earlier, guys. I know Damon said he's working on potentially adding the ability to add iframes and embeds to the money hook area, but somebody asked, can you add images there? Yes, you can add images there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is, for local guys, you can add name, address, phone number, web URL, right? So you could put sponsored by and put an NAP, a citation, for local guys. If you build out these, that's what I was talking about earlier with the SEO guys, is setting up these second tier, like ancillary networks that are used specifically for backlink building and for building authority to your first tier properties, right? Because think about that, guys. You could set up in your money hook section for, let's say you're working on, let's say if you're anything like what I do a ton of local stuff, and I work with a lot of contractors. Mostly contractors, okay? About 90% of my business is dealing with contractors. So I could set up multiple tier 2 networks, or just, they don't have to be tier 2. They could be standalone IFTTT networks that are themed around home improvement in general, right? And I could have all these feeds coming in through RSS Masher that are feeding and triggering these tier 2 or standalone home improvement type networks, that now I could have my citations going into money hook section that are building citations within relevant content to my client sites or my lead gen sites, right? So like plumbers and electricians and tree services and landscaping and all that kind of stuff. And you could use that to where like other people's content are producing the content and creating the post, but your citation gets included. Does that make sense? So what I would suggest doing is, like, you know, setting up a schedule, because you can set up multiple standalone networks, guys, that are themed with relevant content to the types of sites that you're trying to rank or that you're working on for clients or for lead gen or whatever. And then go in and have a, maybe once a week go in and change out the citations to point to another property or something like that, so that essentially you get a week's worth of content and back, citations published on the web through these Web 2s with around relevant content, and then you can go in and swap it out with something else the next week. It's something that I would put on like a rotating schedule. That way you kind of change things up a bit. And I know you can add spin tags too. I don't know how advanced the spin tags is inside of RSS Masher. It'd be something worth playing with though, to see what kind of variety or diversity you could enter into the actual citations themselves. So that's a great idea though. Greg, thanks for bringing that up, because I forgot to mention that. I was playing with that earlier, and being able to add citations in is very, very powerful. Google Maps embed? Not yet, right? Can you guys still hear me? Did I lose Damon?
I don't know. We're still
I'm
here.
sorry.
I don't know about Damon.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I wanted to take over the screen real quick. I was just talking to myself, guys. Let me show you something, too, that Bradley brought up that makes it so easy. Okay, remember these on-offs here? Okay, if I had a mash, and I'm just going to create a new mash, and let's just call it, I'm not even going to search. I'm just going to go internal. I'm going to grab gluten-free tips, best TMZ, and putting secrets, and Damon's favorite football feeds this time of year. Okay, so I got 4 internal feeds. I'm going to come over here to settings, give it a name. I'm just going to call it test super feed, and I'll just copy that down. Now, what I'm doing is I just want to show you what you can do if you want to toggle feeds on and off automatically. Okay, this is coming from SB Nation. Remember I told you about baseball, and some of these SB Nations are really long feeds here, but it's all baseball deals, so I would not want that one. So what I want to do is I want to come back up here to my dashboard, and you can, if you know which ones are going in there, I think it's gluten-free tips. It's not that one, but it's what did I call it? Damon's favorite football feeds. That's probably the one. I can toggle that off. Oops, I didn't save it. Okay, well let's do this again. Settings, test feed. I think y'all probably know where I'm going with this. Test feed. Okay, and then I want to put some internal feeds in there. Let's do gluten-free tips and best TMZ celebrity news. Come back over here to settings. I'll save it this time. Let's hit preview. Okay, so there's a lot of TMZ stuff coming in here, and that was my sports feed there. And guys, I want to show you something. This is just, I know I'm getting off the subject here. You could put surveys in here. And they could share it out, share it on Twitter, but if you're using Mints app or any of these survey polls, certainly put a survey in there. Okay, so I'm going to go back over here to the dashboard. I think we saved it. Now, what you can do is you can just go down, what was that? Gluten-free tips. Again, you can turn that off if you don't want it in there. Best TMZ celebrity news. I think that was in there. So if I turn those off and I came back over here to look at this, let's just look at it here. Okay. I don't have any of the gluten-free in here. But when you deactivate it, it removes it from your super feed. So it's just the TMZ stuff in here, which I had 2 TMZ feeds, but I can't find any of the gluten-free in here. Oh, there's a gluten-free right there. I think Rasmus needs to fix this, but we had it set up originally so that if you turned it off, it would be basically removed from your super feed. So you could have a whole bunch of sports feeds feeding into a sports super feed here, turn them off, and it would not show up in your feed anymore. Or you can just simply go in and remove it. That may be the easier way. But you could swap out feeds all day long. As long as that feed right there will never change in what you're sending to your IFTTT network. And that's kind of where I wanted to go with that. Hopefully that answered that question. Bradley, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there. I just wanted to...
No, man. Not at all. Not at all.
What you can do inside of these. Now, guys, when I talked earlier about, you know, what Bradley's talking about is setting it up correctly for SEO, but not, you don't have to, if you're doing SEO, that's great, but you can add other feeds or you can dive deeper inside of a website besides the main landing page. So your feed could be talking about, you know, a call to action page or a reviews page deeper into a website. You don't necessarily have to put your main landing page back in as the money hook.
Yeah. I got a question here from Greg. He mentions, would using hook links for co-citation and co-occurrence let us replace that other service for co-citations and RSS feeds? And I know what you're talking about, Greg, and you know, let's not try to tiptoe around this. This is bringing it out in the open. Lisa Allen's a rank feeder and RSS Authority Sniper. And guys, I look at these as 2 different animals, 2 different tools, okay? In my opinion, because we had some of our mastermind members ask us about this once we had Damon on for the pre-launch webinar for RSS Masher. They asked the same question. And I look at this as 2 different tools. Rank feeder from Lisa Allen is purely an SEO tool, in my opinion, the way that it's set up. Very, very powerful, very effective for creating co-citations. But it doesn't have the ability like RSS Masher does to, you know, display, to syndicate with those full text posts, and also the money hooks and all that. I look at RSS Masher as more of a traffic tool than just an SEO tool. So in all reality, if you're using Rank Feeder and you're getting good results with that for SEO, I wouldn't stop using it. I would add RSS Masher as another tool in my toolbox. That's the suggestion that I had to you know, several of our mastermind members that had a question about it. If you're already using it and you're getting good results from it, don't stop using it. Add this as another tool to your toolbox that you can use to drive traffic wherever you want. And also the auto blog function, like essentially being able to set these up for, like I said, whether they're tier 2 networks or even standalone networks that you use specifically just to build authority to tier 1 properties of your choosing, you certainly could do that with this. And I you know, as far as Rank Feeder, I don't know that the Rank Feeder feeds look all that well syndicated out. I haven't tested that on my own. So
yeah, we've got some good training in here, guys, inside the training course. Yeah, and to answer your question about Rank Feeder, I've never even used it. I've had some of Lisa's other products, and she does a great job.
yeah,
in fact, you know, I can't complain on anything. And if y'all want just I use this right here to also find stuff. It's RSS Feed Finder, and I'm going to do a little demo on it probably after Christmas. I use it to supplement where I find some of these feeds. I'll use Google, I'll use the RSS Masher search, and I'll use Feed Finder. I try to make my life very easy. It's too easy to get everything complicated, and so that's why we tried to make it as simple as possible to use this, to try it out. You're not going to break it. We've had it there for a year, pounding through it, and you know, it's a pretty good little platform, and we built it specifically for IFTTT to build out content for our WordPress sites, to use it with Browsio. I use it all the time with Browsio. And the biggest issue that I had when I was creating my vid minions, my little personas out there, is even if I hired a VA, they would still have to go out and create content every day. And with RSS feeds from celebrity blogs, you get the feeds, you get all the content you want. That, you know, they're popular feeds is what we put inside of our personas. So I want to get liked, shared, and followed, and that's the whole key to the game. And while they're liking, sharing, and following, I'm going to give them some money hooks at the same time.
Okay, I see a couple more questions coming in that probably could be addressed, Damon, and I've got to take off here in a few minutes.
Okay.
So I don't mean to kind of jump off, guys, but I got my daughter for 5 nights, and she's over at Grandma's right now, and I told her I'd be back shortly to pick her up. So,
excellent. Well,
I do have one here, Robert, that I saw come in. It's a little bit more of an advanced question. If you don't mind, take a stab at it real quick. He says, if using silos or categories in a website, the hooks can go toward building weak silos or testing for keyword traffic counts to evaluate and develop traffic distribution across the site, right? Robert, yeah, that is definitely a good use for RSS Masher as well. And remember, also, just keep in mind, guys, you can also pull your category feeds from WordPress, which you could also mix a category feed in as an external feed into an RSS Masher feed. So you can actually mash a category, a weak silo as you called it, use that category feed to run or to mash alongside other relevant high authority content feeds and use that to distribute out to IFTTT networks. And that could help to, again, siphon authority specifically to that one category or silo on the site.
Yep. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. And like I promised us, I'm going to turn off the mic and let everybody, all the organizers, give one thing for thank you for y'all being here, and hopefully we got most of the questions answered. I know there are more advanced questions coming in now, but we can help you and support. Certainly use your Facebook group, both IFTT, the Semantic Mastery Facebook group, and use our Facebook group. Is talk about this stuff. That's what they're there for. So I'm going to turn off the mic right now, or turn off the recording,